found out more about it from Liberty Dollar's publications and online sources, including statements from the Federal Reserve saying, well, they may choose to use this currency in their own community, but it won't be accepted at our banks. Well, I wasn't intending on giving it away to banks anyways. I want to use it in my community in this form that would help keep circulating amongst us and has some real value in it. As prices go up, it goes up too. That makes sense to me.
In June of 2009, Kevin Innes of Asheville, North Carolina, was arrested on federal fraud charges, facing up to 45 years in prison. For what, you ask? Being a representative and salesperson of what seems to be an illegal substance, silver.
I wanted to make sure that my local community officials knew what my intentions were. So I went to the police, told them what I was doing, not only the city police, but also the county police. And they said, well, you're not breaking any law. We already checked with the Secret Service, and we can't endorse what you're doing, but you're doing okay. It's barter, right? I said, yes, it's a form of exchange between us. So great. And every cop that I saw after that, county or city, I said, hey, have you read your circular? Have you seen this yet? I would drop it in their hands. I went to the local precinct chiefs, a number of them, showed it to them. Oh, well, thanks for coming in and informing us. And the idea was that if anybody had any complaints, they would go to the police typically and then they would know how to contact me, and I could address whatever misunderstanding they had. And there wouldn't be a big incident. So why was it a number of years later, the U.S. Mint suddenly issues a proclamation that, in conference with the Justice Department, that the use of the Liberty Dollar as legal tender, current money or coin, could land you 5 years in jail and a huge fine. That's a little bit slippery language, because who in the general public has learned about law in the educational system? Very few. What does legal tender even mean? What does coin mean? What do these different terms mean? They're talking about legal matters. They should also say what these things mean, because we were not using them as legal tender. It was completely voluntary. Legal tender is currency that is sanctioned by the government, whether it's backed by something of value or not. It's legal to tender it, legal to offer it to others. Well, we weren't making that statement. We were saying this is voluntary currency, and according to the Constitution, this is lawful money. We don't need that legal tender term. And coin, according to Black's Law Dictionary, is to fashion pieces of metal into a prescribed shape, weight, and degree of fineness, and stamp them with a prescribed device by authority of government in order that they may circulate as money. I continued to use it because I didn't feel that I was breaking the law, and they seized 100 copper pieces from me, which look vastly different than anything else that the U.S. Mint has or has used. And that's a 1 ounce copper piece that says peace on the other side. It's a piece of copper. Does the U.S. Mint, you see the size of my hand, the size of that copper piece, 1 ounce copper? They don't even make those, but yet they seized them, claiming that they were too much like regular money that we use. A civil action started against the U.S. Mint and the Justice Department for slander and libel. It was, they decided to arrest me on charges of counterfeiting and proclaiming this as a false instrument of exchange. False being that, claiming that I said that it was legal tender, current money or coin. That was their claim. Well, then after 23 months of sitting in jail waiting for the trial, they said, well, actually, we're not going to charge you with 45 years. We're going to give you a $300 fine and let you go.
What was the dialogue while you were there for the 23 months? I mean, I'm sure you had, to have some legal discussions the whole entire time you were there. So what kind of discussions were going on?
Well, a lot of the discussion was what are the legal matters going on about this? Is it similar? Is it follow this terminology, similitude? Similitude is when something looks so similar to another device or instrument, like legal tender, that the average person with regular intelligence would think that it's legal tender, right? Current money or a coin. And that was their claim, that they did, for various reasons. There was that going on, as well as a lot of discussion about what type of plea I would take. I wasn't inclined towards a plea bargain of any sort, because that would be lying. I had no intention of deceiving anybody. If they claimed that I was, that would be unintentional, as the local sheriff and those in the police department would, if they were forthcoming and honest, would verify that, and a number of the people in the community would verify that at every opportunity I said that this was not legal tender. This is alternative currency, and it was lawful money according to the Constitution. We went from the 45 years, first plea was 14 months, and then later on it was 6 months plea offer. But still, it would be the assumption that I would say that, oh yes, I tried to deceive somebody, which is false, and I couldn't in good conscience say that.
So you stuck it out for the 23 months?
Yeah, and did lots of yoga and meditation, and studied Lao Tzu and Eckhart Tolle and lots of philosophy. And
do you see a round 2 for the silver business?
I like to wait a little longer as far as active involvement on that level until there's been an appeal filed. And first there's because my co-defendant, Bernard von Nothaus, who was the founder, was convicted by a jury, and there was a lot of dispute how fair that trial actually was and whether he had lawyers that were actually going to bat for him or not. A number of strange things happened during the trial that leads one to believe that maybe they were wholeheartedly behind him. But once an appeal has been filed, and see how that goes, excuse me, I may get more involved.
So you're what we would refer to as a rebel. In our movie, we have rebels working underground, minting silver, creating an alternative currency for an economy that is on its last leg, if it even has any more legs in our film. So would you consider yourself a rebel? I
consider myself more of a constitutionalist. And let's not so much rebelling against what is as reestablishing what came long before. And that was a constitution that realized that men and women are corruptible. And that if we don't have firm foundation in principles that can see us through periods of corruption, then the society will fall apart. And it's going downhill at a tremendous rate. It's like cancer. As it gets towards the end, there's an exponential rate of growth, and there's this case of fiat money, which is devastating the average person. So I'm not rebelling against, I'm more thinking in terms of reestablishing that as the fire that can help hold people's enthusiasm through difficult times, because difficult times will come, but how to utilize those difficult times in ways that help propel us forward.